Quick Studio Live 2020 GSL Season 3 Korea's Last Stand.
It's time to break out!
Welcome back, everyone. Dark vs. Zest is up next. This is going to be a really cool match. We've actually had a lot of short games so far. I guess that last one was reasonably long, but overall we've been kind of shooting along. I think this is going to be a 2-1 no matter what. If it is a 2-0, I think it goes to Dark. I think as good as Zest has been, I think Dark is somebody who's been able to reinvent his style enough times. Zest is able to then remake his old style work again in Legacy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I really wonder which style he's going to bring, though, right? Because he's been Mr. Adept Printer all year.
Yeah.
Is he just going to have like a slightly altered Adept build? Is he going to bring something else? Like, we just saw Creator get himself into a cool later game position. I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to see from Zest.
I don't know. I mean, Dark usually has a pretty good handle on the early game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Artosa, say it with me, man. Zest might just go Adept Printer, go burn.
GSL을 위하여
Burp. Burp.
전투 지원이 들어왔다. 함께일 때 우린 더욱 강하다. 드래곤 피닉스 게임 다크 악령. Raise your edge game. Zest 추성.
All right. Zest, not scouting. So, just playing a somewhat catch-all opener here.
I want to remind everybody that in the losers match, it's going to be TaeJa versus Creator. So we'll see how TaeJa can do. I'm sorry, Creator can do against TaeJa. I think TaeJa is still favored to win here in that losers match. And I think for this match, I'm assuming that Dark wins. I think it's going to be a good series.
Yeah.
But then we will have a TaeJa versus Zest rematch if things go according to the way I'm expecting it.
Yeah, I think you're right to expect it like that. And I hope that TaeJa can fix his mistakes. I guess we'll just see how he does against Creator. Actually, I think Creator played well against Dark.
I agree.
So if he beats TaeJa, it'll be a surprise to me because going into this group with how everyone hasn't been playing well and TaeJa has been playing well, I was like, well, that means TaeJa should make it out. But right now I'm looking at the group, I'm like, oh, I'm not so sure now.
And I'll tell you what, let's say that Zest wins here, but Creator wins. I think a PvP with Zest Creator is one that Creator could take.
Yeah, that is possible. Zest, I think, is one of the more fearsome PvP players, but PvP is one of those any given Sunday matchups, you know?
Sure, yeah.
By the way, I do want to mention before we get too deep into this, this is Dark's 20th consecutive Code S.
That's insane.
So the Nesty Award is 10 consecutive. He has now been in 20 consecutive Code S's.
So does he get the
Guys,
Dark
it's been
Award?
21 Code S's since you saw one without Dark in it.
That's how long we've been around.
That's a long time, man. That's like 7 years. We generally have 3 Code S's a year.
Yeah, we had a lot of seasons right when the game came out. It was
and then we went down
to
2 in 2013, I think it was, because
maybe 14.
Yeah, people were doing their best to try to kill StarCraft right around then. So
the whole world was trying to stop this game.
Everyone's like, you know what? Can we screw up everything all at once? And the answer was you can, but we'll still live through it.
Yes.
But yeah, 20 consecutive Code S's. That's just madness. But no special award, unfortunately. You can't just keep having awards named after Zerg players, you know what I mean?
I think you can, Artosis. I think every Zerg player gets an award.
We'll have the MVP award, which is not for the MVP Terran player, but the most valuable player, and it's just a statue of a Baneling.
That's too bad for the Protoss that Overlord actually lived through that.
Yeah, I think he'll do a flyby with the Prism when he goes out.
I imagine, yeah. So the Dark Shrine's coming here for Protoss.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that he's actually going for a DT.
It's like,
Archon
look
drop.
at this PVT build suddenly here in PVZ. Isn't this interesting?
This is an old one, and it's definitely one that Zest had his fingers in for a very long time. Oh, he actually goes around the Overlord.
Oh, okay.
So instead of killing it, he doesn't want him to see that he's on his way. If you just appear with 3 or 4 DTs at your opponent's base, you can't kill it.
Yeah, this is so smart because he's taking this weird circumstance, and then the Overlord wasn't killed. And in an odd way, for the Zerg, this is confirming that the Warp Prism isn't coming, because a lot of players would just run over there and kill that. But he does now see this with the Lings. Let's see if there's still an element of surprise here for this. Can he? No, it looks like everything.
Yeah,
he's going to be more than ready for this.
Yeah, he might just go ahead and make Archons pretty quickly here. Third base on the way. Let's see where he goes with this, right? Because there's a lot of follow-ups to DT Prism Opener. Oh. Poor probe. Okay, so Archon time. Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because now he can't move up into the main. I like the Ling counterattack. Is there enough here to actually defend? I don't think there is.
He just did his warp, and so he's got to send these down, but actually the Nexus is going to get canceled.
This is one way where things start to get worse and worse and worse here for the Protoss.
That's painful. That's like real painful, man. Your Nexus is half done, it gets canceled.
Well, the third
base
base
like
timing,
all of your timings are now different.
Yeah, the thing about the third base timing is that I think it's pretty much the most important one for Protoss, right? I mean, you basically can, if you do it correctly, always get your third base up, but to have that delayed at all, it delays everything that fans out from that.
Yeah, it does.
So Zest is going to have to make up for that mistake by just really gunning down a lot of units over here. But the problem is, you know, Dark is just notorious for defending this kind of stuff really well and continuing to exceed and grow.
Now, Dark has thrown down a Spire, and we saw this a little more than a year ago. This started getting popular against DT Archon drops, where you would actually go, like, you'd have a certain amount of roaches to hold this off, of course, and then go into mutas from there, right? Because they don't have a Stargate, and you don't generally feel like you have to go from here. Oh my God. That was so greedy. I don't even...
So this is terrible right now.
Yeah.
The combination
Queen
of the
need minus another range, clearly.
That's right. Queen can only attack air with melee is what they should have.
Yeah.
Their claws just coming up there, scratching the bottom of the ships. No, look, okay, let's go big picture here. Let's zoom out. The third Nexus was denied. Protoss has very few options to try to get ahead other than to really lean into aggression, to try to take back what the Protoss has taken from him. But I think even with Protoss normally plays that pretty well, the Zerg can be ahead.
Yeah.
In this game, it backfired, only doubling how far behind Zest is. He's lost that War Prism with one of the Archons in it.
Yeah.
The Archon, along with Immortals early on, are your strongest assets, whether it be for harass, defense, or pushing. And maybe against some weaker Zerg players, that's not the biggest deal in the world, but against Dark, every single thing matters.
Totally.
So this is rough, man. This sucks.
It does. It's not where you want to be at. Now he's making a lot of cannons, which will defend reasonably well, but it's pure Roach behind this, but still he's getting +1 air attack, which I find kind of interesting. Very oftentimes in this type of situation, it would turn into a base trade, but the fact that he's making this... Excuse me.
Oh, Artos is going to sneeze.
Sorry. But because he's making this many roaches, it doesn't feel like that's the situation that Dark's going for. Now chasing around with that Prism and Shuttle.
Got to be careful. Sometimes you can whip those mutas around and actually catch the War Prism if he picks up the Archon again.
Look at that. It's just a little merry-go-round going on.
Yeah, muta Whirlpool there. Okay, so again, I think the Zerg's done a great job of just continuing to press and push more damage on here. Now the Zerg is maxed out, and this is the moment where Zerg can really start to abuse the Protoss. I don't know that the third is pregnable here from the Zerg.
Dude,
just because he sealed it off.
He doesn't really have Immortals. Like, what's he got? 1?
I think one, maybe, I don't see a second on the way here. But
yeah,
this is such
like,
a ridiculous amount of
I
roaches.
feel like if you had 5 Immortals here, you'd be like, all right, let's do this. But
Not
with
the
what he's
shield
got,
upgrade. Yeah, so there's nothing here to defend. In fact, there's Stalkers here at an angle that is just never in a million years going to work. He can actually come through here, eat his way through the gateways. I don't think Protoss survives this, especially not without Immortals.
He's got very good micro here. Like, he's utilizing his Blink Stalkers quite well, I would say.
Oh my God.
He has his Psy Storms now, so if there's a big commitment, he can start to whittle it down a bit more like that too. Maybe he lives. Yeah.
This is pretty sane, this arc here from Zest. I really thought it was going to go much worse.
The
but
fact that he's on
yeah.
2 angles is what's saving him.
Yeah.
If he was like taking it from only one side, I don't think this would work at all.
And now the Storms come down, the Stalkers move in here, and this is a pretty insane win right now here for Zest. Now, behind the Zerg is continuing to remax out, so even though you're seeing Army disappear, in those fights that were happening back there, in reality it's being filled in with more units that are going to be hatching from the larva soon.
Yeah, very well done by Zest, I tell you. He's looking on top of it today. Definitely a mistake losing that Prism and Archon earlier, but other than that, I mean, this has been very, very solid. Now look at this hilarious looking army. We have 33 Stalkers, a Sentry, and then 4 Stormers.
Stormers.
Yeah.
Okay, can the counter push come in here and do the right amount of damage? This is a real opportunity here for Zest. Great storms on both sides.
Yeah, ridiculous storms going down. Look at this.
I don't know
so many too.
Zerg can't get this around there. There's no way.
Yeah, the storms just pummeled him when he tried to do that.
There's more Ravagers being made here, but I gotta say, second battle that's been won here by Zest. Will this be enough for him to win the war?
Yeah, it might end up being. He still has this one Immortal alive as well, definitely adding a lot of damage. And Archon comes up and starts to push through. That is so many Stalkers. A lot of Biles come down, kind of pushing the Stalkers back, but they don't have that much trouble actually dodging. A few Biles hitting here and there. Dark has lost only 3 drones during all this, so as he actually eliminates this, like, his economy wasn't actually hurt. They're on very similar economies still.
Yeah.
A little bit better for Dark, of course, because he does have 4 bases to 3.
That was a pretty impressive push by Zest, but I gotta wonder, was it, even though it went overall well, like he did a very good job, did he overextend anyways? Again, well, it's more difficult to remake complexity. I guess that answers that. You know, you lose the War Prism, you lose the Immortals. Zerg lost quite a bit and was pushed back, but if you overextend and you're only on 3 bases.
This was a tough and kind of strange game, I think, because Zest did the right thing to hold on against the Ro.24 push. He made 1 million Stalkers, spread them out, microed really well, held on against the initial push, and then you have, you know, 30-ish Stalkers. Well, you have to go attack. The worst thing I can think you could possibly do with 30-ish Stalkers after holding that would be to be like, you know what, I'm going to leave these Stalkers at home. We're going to sit at home with these. These scale wonderfully. No! No one ever said that because they don't. So he has to go attack, and then it's like, well, this is a weird situation because you don't have another base. You don't have other splash damage sources. Like,
maybe there's something to be said about just the early game there. We can analyze how the big fights go, but Zest did put himself in a tough spot. I think Dark had enough room to make a few mistakes and still come through and crush. Game 2 will be on Eternal Empire. Right now, Dark with a 1-0 lead. Again, the winner goes on to the round of 16.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 드래곤 피닉스 게임 다크 방영. Redo your edge game. Zest. 주성.
it's a little bit of a hatchery block there. Of course, Eternal Empire generally gives us longer games.
I would welcome that with how quickly today is moving along.
But just the fact that Zest has hatchery blocked it, I think that it's more likely now that we'll see either Oracle or Adept opener.
Yeah, if you're going to force a distance between the first hatchery and the second hatchery, you're trying to take advantage of some type of lack of mobility between the 2 points. Usually.
Yeah, I think it's good to either do it every game, or like if you do it every game, right, you can do anything behind it, and they have to kind of be wary, right? But the fact that he didn't do it game 1 and he's done it here makes me lean more towards, well, it's Zest. He likes to optimize things, right? So he wants them far apart, maybe so when Adept's shade in, there's going to be drones at the third, right?
He wants, as the game starts, for his pieces to fall in a place where it's going to help him.
Yeah, he's definitely...
he looks for his advantages early on. Some players look for, they do small things early on, really to set something up much later on that's going to help them.
Well, we'll see what he does after the Cybernetics core finishes up. Oh, it's been a long time since I said that.
How's it feel?
Feels great. Like, wow. It didn't feel like 10 years till just now. Which, by the way, our schedule has changed.
Oh, that's right.
We will be back on Friday, which is the day after tomorrow, an hour and a half earlier than usual. And the reasoning for that, instead of our Saturday broadcast, will be a Friday broadcast for us out here, is because that is the actual 10-year anniversary of GSL.
It will officially have been 10 years.
Jesus.
You and me showing up for our first day to cast, man.
I remember it well. I'll never forget Jinro doing that coin in his fingers. Remember that?
That's right, because we're the first day of the games, we rented out this huge theater.
Yeah.
And we had each of the players stand on the stage, and we shot a spotlight on each one.
It was cool.
As we said the name, and they put it on Jinro without us knowing he was there, but he had like I think it was a coin or a poker chip.
Something like that.
He was like in some kind of pose, and he was flipping it around on his fingers in a very...
He was showing his dexterity.
Yeah, and he did it. And
he was maxed out on dexterity that night.
For sure. And then we went back to our much smaller studio, grinded it out there, and here we are in downtown, in Gangnam.
Yeah.
In Gangnam. Like the song, guys.
By the way, it is a Glaives opener, so not surprised to see that here. Obviously, going to see that Prism pop out.
If I had to think of a player when I think of builds like this, Zest is the guy.
Well, this is his build.
Yeah.
He's the one that brought it back at Katowice and beat everyone, including Rogue, but then lost to Rogue in the finals.
And this was a build that really did torment Zerg players.
Yeah.
And in some cases, Terran players as well, when the game was first out.
Yeah, they got pretty heavily nerfed against Terrans, but against Zergs, they still have always been pretty much the same. Lots of Lings being made, lots of Roaches. We'll see what follow-up tech here for Zest, because the Dark Shrine is one that you see mixed in. Sometimes you'll see like an Immortal Sentry push behind as well. Sometimes you just see a third base. Really, the sky's the limit. Do what you want.
Now, this is very good defense here by Dark. There'll probably be a few more warpins here, but you know, what exactly can Protoss do to try to get in and actually do the damage? I don't know.
Well, as long as Dark moves his army well, it's very hard for
Zest
to get in.
Oh! Thought there was more coming down there.
Yeah. I could tell.
I hyped that up a little more. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
We did it!
70% HP on the War Prism. So, he's going to try to pursue him. But, yeah, I mean, this isn't going to do that much. Adept's going to shade back. A third Nexus coming down while the layer has started over here.
He is not really getting anything done. He's kept the drone count very, very low, though. Still warping in some Adepts, so it seems like Zest is not done quite yet. He wants to keep that pressure on a little bit longer. We'll see, though, because generally by about now, you'll see the Prism break off to try to get, like, maybe Adepts into the main base, and maybe 2 Adepts zoom off towards the third while the rest are pretending to shade in the natural still. But we haven't seen that yet. He's actually just walking home. And I guess a good thing, because there's a lot of Lings on the way to his third.
So we got some Lings ready for the counterattack, but these Adepts haven't moved out for a little bit now. It doesn't seem like anymore the Adept pressure does much of anything. Like it's a good way to control the pace of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it could certainly be blocked. I think people know how to fight Adepts. They know how to handle the shade movement.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to end the game. It doesn't have to do a ton of damage. It can also be a way to control the pacing of the game. And big picture, the way that Zergs are usually beaten is by controlling or flipping the pacing of the game.
Look at this. Zest is playing this very different from how we've seen it played in the past. He's got 23 Adepts. Like, this is not how we're used to seeing this play out at all. He is only making Adepts. He has so many Adepts.
Okay, now there's going to be two big shades in two different directions here. Good dodge on the Biles. Meanwhile, these Adepts up here at the top have been surrounded. A lot of Banelings are morphing in. The Adepts will be shaded into the main, and another rotation over here to the natural.
Oh my gosh, he's actually killed 11 drones, and he's going to kill some more now as well. Starting to split up against these Banelings some. Look at that, he's hitting them with the Adepts. Some very nice stunner micro there.
16 drones have been killed off. There's going to be another shade. This time over to the natural with more Adepts coming in. Has he actually outpositioned Dark here? Where are those Banelings, by the way?
Oh my god. Well, 17 drones killed. Yeah, I think that all the Banelings did end up dying. Like, he killed some of them connected as well. More Adepts still on the way. Nice move command. Just going after drones right now, diving hard.
Yeah, Zest still has it here with these Adepts. What is he doing?
Gonna recall. Oh, surprise. I like it. He lured all the units out of the way and then recalled with those. Now he has a Dark Shrine and he has Charge about to finish. So kind of some interesting follow-ups. We'll see if he gets anything done with those. I tell you what, Tasteless, this is not what I expected to see. I expect to see Adepts, but I thought he would have some novel follow-up. Well, I guess in a way he did, right? Like, Zest went back into the lab with the Adept build. He's like, what's wrong with it? How do I make this work more?
How do I make it burr more?
Yeah, well, he came out and he said, you know what? We haven't been making enough Adepts. You need 30+ Adepts. It's clear!
Here's what he did. He was writing in his notes. He wrote B, R, 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 and then he said, wait a minute. He X'd out. He wrote capital B, capital R, capital R.
Whoa.
And then underlined it. And then he almost saved the file in his notes. He said, hold on a second.
Yeah.
And he highlighted it and hit bold.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. And then he turned off his computer and he thought that saved it, but it didn't. But he doesn't. He's not that good at computers.
Yeah.
No, that was definitely very different. It's like it's just more Adepts, but it's truly not what I thought we were gonna see. And he kind of made it work, I guess. And now he's going into his Blink. He's going into, well, we'll see if he actually goes Disruptor or he goes to Colossus here. I actually kind of want to see him make Disruptor. I was a fan of those Creator Disruptors. I thought that was a
nice.
Really cool idea. It can be really hard, though, if they're going Ling Bane at all. Disruptors are, like, very hard to use against those.
Disruptors are funny because, you know, one of the features with StarCraft 2 having multiple, well, I guess infinite unit selection, really, is that you think of it being a little bit simpler at times to attack, but it requires so much attention on one disruptor to use that you really have to be, like, on top of this. And that's why sometimes when you see somebody with 6 disruptors, they don't seem to fare much better than somebody with, like, 3, you know?
Yeah, that's oftentimes the case.
Yeah.
That is oftentimes the case.
Sometimes more is less.
Yeah. The Disruptor is actually still an unexplored unit. People complain about it and everything, but I think it actually is even more powerful than anyone thinks. People are like, oh no, I think it's powerful. I'm like, no. I think it's like the only unit that can rival Banelings for supply efficiency.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, you could trade so much there. And again, you can just do that attack over and over and over again if you're controlling it well. The problem that that unit faces is the downtime between its attacks. And that's why it seems like if you were really good at controlling the Disruptors, but then we end up in one of these situations as well. Nice hold here on these Banes, not that there was many workers to kill, where there is a limit to how much you can do in StarCraft. Priority does take control. Eventually you have to be able to prioritize what actions are more important, where do you invest your time. And when you can't juggle everything because it's physically impossible, how do you set and forget certain tasks? And to me, it just seems like the Disruptor really is something that kind of maxes out your ability to do everything, you know?
Kind of.
One of the things about Banelings that made him so strong was you can set it and forget it and do a lot of other important micro, but the Baneling is still the most important unit when it comes to damage, you know?
Yeah, actually, something to kind of add to the Disruptor, kind of like on the line you were saying there. It's
What
like
am I
there's a lot of
seeing?
units where you can do things with it quickly. Yeah, this is kind of funny, isn't it? He keeps looking for probes that just aren't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Disruptor, like, it has an exact set amount of time that you're spending with it, basically, which I think is very interesting, rather than, oh, I just do this quickly and be done with it.
So Zerg is finally going to kill this base.
Yeah.
The hatchery over here at 6 o'clock goes down, but also, if Protoss can win this fight, he'll be able to hit the expansion just north of here.
Very good force fields right there. Continuing to do a good job here. He's got his 4th Colossus walking up. Seismic Spine's going to be coming. Like how many force fields does he have left? Okay, he actually doesn't have force fields left.
Okay, these Banelings, let's see how well they connect.
Yeah, Banelings generally do pretty darn well against
oh, great
these balls.
pickups there. Saves both Immortals. Can he keep pushing forward here, though? Oh, there's a little bit of miscontrol here. Actually, I spoke too soon. He does micro away. The Colossus. One more Colossus goes down, but the important units are still here.
Lurkers coming up, though. That can make it a lot harder to actually break through this situation.
Zerg is still maxed out, spamming out many more units with the backed up Larva. Observer goes down. That's the only Observer, right?
Oh, God, was it?
Right?
Yeah,
I think so.
no, I think you're right.
Oh, I think Dark's going to win again.
Oh, no.
I think this push should have been maybe enough to possibly cause a killing blow. But with no Observer, the Zerg could stand back the
right. You're
progress of the
completely
rush.
right. He doesn't have one anymore, so it's like those Lurkers are invincible.
Yeah.
And now he's losing his 3rd base. He's got like 2 Adepts there trying to help. Okay, he's recalling, but not quickly enough. GG.
All right, Dark is the first player to move on.
Wow. All right, yeah, but here's the thing, actually. I think they're both playing well tonight.
I agree.
You look on paper, they should be the ones to advance.
I think so.
But they both had kind of very bumpy roads. But tonight, they're bringing it, which makes me happy. That's what I want to see.
We're going to have an interview now. See how exactly Dark's feeling. Again, Dark's had some ups and downs. This is the 2019 World Champion. But let's see how far he can go. He looks like the Dark from the past, strong, robust. I think Zest played some of the best games we've ever seen from him. But that clutch hold sniping the Observer. And the great counterattacks, of course,
Yeah, totally. I didn't even realize that was his only Observer right there. But then there's like 3 Lurkers sitting there. Well, you can't do anything. You don't have Disruptors. You don't have Storm. You can't bust that.
이번 B조의 1위 진출자 드래곤포닉스 게이밍의 박명 선수 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
Congratulations. Thank you.
자, 먼저 오늘 20번째 코드 S였더라고요. 자,
This
그런
is your
상황에서
20th
1위
GSL
진출
Code S.
소감 궁금합니다.
How do you feel getting out as the
딱히
first
뭐
place?
16강은 늘 가던 거라서
Well, I mean, round of
신경 많이 안 쓰고
16, you know, I feel indifferent,
20번이 됐다는 게 좀 느끼지 않고
but I'm pretty surprised that it's my 20th Code
그런데
S.
아직도 우승이 한 번밖에 없다는 거에 좀
But at the same time, I'm really disappointed
그러니까요.
that I only
지난해
won GSL once.
2019년 나의 해로 보내고 나서 아직까지
Last year,
올해는
you
우승이
accomplished
없습니다.
many things,
지금 많이 좀
but this year,
준비하셨다는
you haven't been able to do too much.
뜻일까요?
So,
항상
what are your
준비를 좀 많이
expectations
했는데
this year?
사실 좀
I mean, I'm
이번
always
첫 시즌부터 부담이
prepared,
많이 되더라고요.
but the
작년에
first
보여준
season
만큼
this year, I was
준비가
quite pressured.
받고 그래가지고 좀 긴장을 많이 했는데
I think I was quite nervous at the time. But this time, you know, I want to kind of get that nervousness off and try to do better.
긴장을 좀 했다. 사실 승자전 경기 내용과는 맞지 않습니다.
Oh, well,
세대 전환
you said you're
빠르고
nervous,
교전
but
움직임 좋고
you're in the
상대
winners match.
견제
You
다
showed
나왔고
such good performance.
굉장히 유연하고 좋았는데 오늘 경기 준비만큼은 좀 잘 된 건가요?
So do you think you prepared well for tonight's
그냥
games?
준비해온 것만 딱 후회 없이 보여주자.
I mean, I played everything without regrets, and I think
그렇군요.
the result turned
오늘
out to be good.
프로토스전에서는 사실 약점이나 뭐 질문할 포인트를 잡는 것도 사실
But
쉽지 않은
in the
만큼
ZVP match,
멋졌습니다.
it's really
그런데
hard to
오늘 비록 패한 적은
figure out what
없었잖아요.
questions I was gonna ask
이
you.
질문을 꼭 드리고 싶었거든요.
But there's one question I want to
지난
ask.
시즌 1, 2 다 테란전에 발목 잡혔고
In
이번
season 1 and in season 2, you were blocked down by a Terran.
이런
And for this season, in the qualifiers, you were defeated by a Terran as well. So what are your thoughts on
지금은 좀
Terran?
완벽하게 됐고.
You know, I feel like
전까지는 뭔가
currently I'm
사람이
pretty good with the
바뀐
ZVT
것처럼
matchup.
잘 됐는데 테란전이 약간
So
막히는
before
것
I struggled with the Terran a lot,
이제 다
but with the Protoss I didn't struggle too much.
앞으로 보여드리겠습니다.
But in the future I'll try to show better
테란전
performance.
기대를 하고 있으면 좋을 것 같은데요. 사실 지난 시즌에는 손목과 어깨에
Well,
대한
last season,
통증 부분 좀 얘기도 했었어요.
Your shoulder and wrist
현재
ached a
컨디션은
lot.
어떠세요?
So what's your
치료를 많이 받아서
current condition
많이
like?
괜찮아졌어요.
Well, I did get a lot of
앞으로는 좋은
treatments,
점만
so
생각을 하면
I'm
될것
feeling better
같은데요.
now.
자, 저희가 마지막으로 좀 한마디 들어보기에 앞서서
Right.
바로
Before we
금요일 저희
ask you
10주년
to
되는
go,
날입니다. GSL 10주년
this Friday
20번째
is the
코드
10th anniversary of
김명선
GSL.
씨가 축하 메시지를 함께 남겨주시면 좋을 것
So it would
같은데요.
be a very
마지막
nice
한마디
for you to
들어보겠습니다.
leave us with a congratulatory message
벌써
before you go.
10주년이 됐다는 게 믿기지 않아요.
Well, I can't believe it's been 10 years already, and time flies so fast.
저도 10주년에 걸맞게
And since it's the 10th year
하고 싶네요.
this year, I want to
자,
achieve
이렇게
something
오늘
great.
1위 진출자 박명 선수 만나봤는데요.
And
다시
it was
한번
dark
진출
with the interview.
축하드립니다.
Congratulations. Thank you.
네, 계속해서 GSL
Thank you, Andy. So Dark moves on.
Yeah,
That's
he played
good.
very well. He
Yeah.
played very well tonight. That's like reassuring to see. You want the world champion to be at his peak, you know?
Yeah, of course. And we're going to see how far he'll go as the tournament progresses. But I think he looked like the Dark of the past, the Dark who was untouchable. Of course, he did have a tough time in the earlier half of this year.
Yeah.
So also Zest looking very strong. I think Zest is probably the player who will get out next. We do have the losers match coming up. We'll be eliminating one of our players.
I think both players are dangerous enough to challenge Zest, but the way
Sure.
he's playing tonight, yeah, I kind of agree. I think he should move out.
And with Creator playing TaeJa here, maybe Creator causes an upset, and maybe then Creator can take Zest on in the final match. I think Creator's still the underdog overall, but maybe if fate goes his way, that's the kind of result we get.
He could have a shot. He could.
We're going to have a short break. We come back. The losers match. Do not go away.
Here we